you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video. I have Mitch here, I have MG. We're going to talk about Avengers End Game spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, which what you've been doing, we're going to talk about pretty much just, there's a lot that happened in this movie. There's a lot to unpack. So we're going to talk about as much as, as much as we remember after just, I've only seen it once. I don't know if I can go see it a second time because that 3 hours, huge fan of the movies, but I don't know about the 3 hours. I'll probably wait for Blu-ray. But I remember most of the things that did happen in the movie. I've talked about it with friends. Me and MG's talked about it. We talked about it with Bruce. We talked about it in DM, different stuff like that. So we remember most stuff that happened in the movie. Coming off Infinity War, everybody got dusted. Y'all know that. So the beginning of the movie was them essentially dealing with it after events of Infinity War. Oh, are they going to bring everybody back? Where's Thanos? Those are things you pretty much got from the trailers. But one thing you didn't think what happened was them killing, of course, that Thanos. Pretty much in first, was it? I want to say is that the first 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about the first 20 minutes. So you still had...
Yeah, that was like the first thing that happened in the movie that wasn't a part of the trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything from the trailers, basically, with the exception of Thor, Cap, and Iron Man walking to fight Thanos at the end, everything in the trailers pretty much was at the beginning of the movie, kind of like with Infinity War.
So, then after that, they kind of moved...
Wait, we're just gonna gloss over that?
Gloss over what?
That was crazy.
Oh, we didn't expect it. We didn't expect that to happen.
That came out of nowhere. I was like, what the heck's going to go on in this movie? That's the craziest thing about watching this movie, especially for the first time, is like, I've never gone into a movie that I anticipated this much with so little information about what possibly could happen within the actual film itself. Like, when that happens, I'm like, okay, where are they going to go with this? There's a number of things where I'm just like, where are they going to go with this? Like, what's happening here? I kind of had a little bit of idea of what was going to happen in terms of the time travel and all that stuff, but I didn't know how they were actually going to go through the whole entire movie, and that just started it off with like, holy crap, I did not see that coming at all.
Well, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of gave an idea with the whole quantum realm thing. I was like, okay, that seems like it's very, like, the way especially the way it was being explained in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it seemed like it was something that was very important.
Yeah.
And there was no other way of getting the gems outside of time travel because Thanos.
Yeah, the time travel stuff.
So I was like, okay, they got to be doing some time travel. Maybe maybe they used the quantum realm, which was a thing, or something else to allow them to time travel. But time travel had to be a thing for them to go back and get the gems.
Did you guys see, though, them killing Thanos in the first 20 minutes and them advancing it 5 years? And that maybe was even more surprising than the fact that they killed Thanos, is they advanced 5 years in the future.
Yeah.
Not going into the movie, but when you get to that part of when they land on that planet and everybody comes in the door first and Thor walks in at the very end, then I was like, oh, Thor's about to kill him, because Thor just had this look on his face like, yeah, I'm here for business. Like, at that point, yeah, but going into the movie, I didn't think they would kill Thanos like that, no.
Yeah, I didn't think, not that early. I don't know. You kind of thought he would get like some kind of power up, and he would still have the gems.
And I also didn't take into account like what type of condition he would be in after snapping. Like, he was like a wreck after that.
Well, it was the second snap.
It was the second snap where he destroyed he used the gems to destroy the gems, and it almost killed him. Even he said that, and that's why I was like, I saw he was like, I was like, wow, like he looks like crap. I don't know. Unless he gets some kind of power up at some point.
Yeah, he was super
This is when I first saw him, like when he was walking through like the garden and whatever. I was like, okay, well, shit. Are they gonna give him some kind of power up? Well, they just said, screw it, we can kill them off. And then they had the 5-year skip where you kind of saw the world went to shit, and you saw what all, a lot of the characters. Oh, let's talk about Iron Man. This kind of happened. This is pretty much the beginning thing. Iron Man
In the ship?
Yeah, Iron Man being saved by Captain Marvel. I know.
You know what I want to say about Captain Marvel is I'm glad the amount that she was in the movie, because it wasn't a lot, but how she was used was basically like a plot device to have like convenient things happen. Like Iron Man coming back to Earth.
She wasn't even in that many scenes. She was in
like 4 scenes, I think, or something like that.
She was in the scene when of course, she saved Iron Man. Then you saw her, like, she was talking. That was before they went to go find Thanos the first time. Then you saw like the little hologram thing when she was talking to Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Then you didn't see it,
which was a great scene.
Then you didn't see it to the end of the movie. After that,
Yeah, like she was only conveniently used by the Russos, like just to say, okay, we need Iron Man to come back to Earth, so someone needs to save her. I guess it's gonna be save him. I guess it's gonna be Captain Marvel. Then at the end of the movie, like she just destroys half the ships, which is like convenient. Like she doesn't really do anything in terms of the story. You could completely remove her from the story altogether. Pretty much.
Yeah. I know a lot of people still think that like it should have been Iron Man to save himself or whatever. They just hate the idea of Captain Marvel.
I don't think he was in the condition to, though.
No,
I actually really liked the way that
they mentioned that they were trying to they figured out a way to fix the ship, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
I liked the way that he was super skinny, like when he came back and he was like basically on his deathbed.
Yeah, because
he had like nothing to eat or anything.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. I really liked that. I did not expect that at all.
I didn't know they were gonna do like the 5-year time skip thing, where you saw all aftermath of pretty much half the universe being snapped, and you saw how everybody, like, you look at Cap, who was pretty much working, what are those called? Pretty much had the groups where he was just talking to people. And everybody was talking about what they've lost and stuff like that. You saw the state Black Widow was in, where she didn't seem happy at all. You could say that pretty much about everybody that was there. They were still doing their job, but it was like, they're just going about the motion of doing it.
They were doing the only things they really could do in the way that the character would go about their life. Like, Captain America knows nothing but war or like helping people, so he's trying to help somebody in some sort of way. And then you have Black Widows, it's like trying to be the boss and get everything going again, because she needs this to happen in order to live, basically, because she has no other purpose in her life. Like, she's done nothing else in her life. So yeah, I think it was wise of them to have pretty much almost 2 hours of the movie devoted to like character moments, building up the tension, building up like what these characters are going through emotionally. I think that was something for me that separated this film from Infinity War, at least in my opinion, was just to see those characters in a different light, in a new way, and then also to just dive deeper into how they're thinking about this whole situation.
She kind of played, like, speaking of Black Widow, she kind of played like essentially like the mother, like big sister type character, and more so like than you've ever seen her in any of the past movies, where obviously she was kind of coordinating everything.
Yeah.
Then you see because I think soon after that you see Ant-Man come back, Scott Lang, and he was in the quantum realm, and which is in the back. They had the portal, which was in the back of that van, and
he was saved by Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, basically, he was saved by a mouse who accidentally reactivated.
I think it's a rat, but I'm gonna call it Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. And he comes back. He's wondering what happened, because for him, it was only 5 hours or something like that. For him, it was only 5 hours. It was, of course, on the outside,
Yeah, it was
it was
5 hours for him,
It was
yeah.
5 years. Then one scene where he kind of asked the kid, like his, the area that he was in looked like total shit, and he asked the kid who was riding on the bike what happened, and the kid didn't say anything. He just like, what the hell do you mean what happened? Like, you should know. Then it kind of goes. You see a memorial for all the people who disappeared, and he was looking for his daughter's name, and then found his name. That's when he was super confused about what actually happened, and that was kind of right after that he met up with the remaining Avengers, and that's
I don't know how you guys feel about Scott Lang and Ant-Man in this film, because I know you guys aren't huge fans of him, but like I felt he was used the best of any movie that he's been in this one.
I was gonna say that. Like I've said that before. I thought this is his best performance, and including his movies, Civil War. This is definitely his best performance.
Well, the one thing I will say is his movies have never really even been about him.
Yeah.
The first movie was all about Hank Pym.
Yeah.
Second movie was all about everybody but him. Like, he's never been the focus of his own movies. And honestly, that second movie was really more so about the quantum realm than anything. That was really more so a setup for the quantum realm than anything to do with Ant-Man.
Yeah, Evangeline Lilly got a lot more push in Ant-Man and Wasp than he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he actually got they actually did some, I wouldn't call it character development, but he has some really nice moments. He has some really good moments, especially at the beginning of this movie. As the movie went on, you seen him less and less. But at the beginning of the movie, he was they made it a focal point to kind of.
I thought that
tell
one
the story
scene with him and his daughter, and then just him trying to search for his daughter, that was a really great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except the fact he didn't even check for his ex-wife on the tablets.
Well, I think
I don't know,
she got snapped away good.
Yeah, because here's the thing: if you're looking for your daughter, right? I mean, wouldn't the first place be for you to check would be with her mom? Like,
yeah, exactly. So he went to her house, right?
Yeah, he didn't even check on the tablet for the mom's name, like, because, like, okay, say his daughter's name isn't on there. Did you check for the mom's name? Because if the mom got zapped, where would your daughter be? Like,
Yeah.
Well, he went to the same house regardless, though. Isn't that like her mom's house?
possibly. I don't recognize the house, so I couldn't even remember. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
The way they kind of aged the neighborhood or whatever.
So right after that happened, well, he did see more. He saw, he went found his daughter. He did go see. He went to go see Cap and Black Widow, right? I'm trying to think if that's what exactly happened.
Is this an old message?
Yeah, that scene happened, and then it was like, well, he's out there because he was pretty much out there then, and it's kind of when they explained everything that happened to him, what happened to the world with Thanos. And is this when he brings up the quantum realm? This is
Yeah, because everyone was. I think somebody responded to him like, "You just wanted to bring that up now" or something like that.
Yeah, because that's when he kind of they made like Back to the Future references. I remember this like that was when he first made those references to like Back to the Future.
They had a couple of those. They had a few. They even referenced Hot Tub Time Machine.
They did at some point. What was that? What was it? War Machine.
Don Cheadle. Yeah.
War Machine mentions that. But the kind of he brings up the quantum realm. Quantum realm. Obviously, he's not smart enough to figure out exactly how to maneuver to travel at fixed points in time. Everything that happened to him was a complete accident. So they was like, we can go to the smartest person that can. And that's when they essentially went to go see Tony. And you find out 5 years Tony got married to Pepper, he has a daughter, and something you didn't, like I said, the 5 year five-year time skip, didn't see that coming, didn't see this part coming either. You see he's like living out in the cabin, he's kind of essentially done with all that, at least that's what we're led to believe. But deep down, he really wanted to save everyone. But they come to him, pretty much pitching it, and he was like, "No way it could work." Just like we based on the quantum theory and all that, there's no way it can work. But he does spend like that whole night, essentially trying to figure it out.
He spends one night trying to figure out time travel. Can we have Tony Stark in real life?
Yeah. And he does figure it out, but he's like, well, should I actually tell them, or should I just like screw that and just bury everything, not say a word, which he could have easily done. And Pepper was like, well, that's not really you, because you wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that you had a chance to fix it.
This was a great payoff scene, by the way. It leads to the moment at the end of the movie with Pepper and Tony.
Yeah.
But I think that like whole thing was just great character writing, and the fact that like Tony has like from the beginning always been sort of this in the middle between he can be very selfish, but he also like cares about people a lot, and he always wants to save the day. Like that kind of balance between being a hero and not being a hero, and that's kind of always been the Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. sort of story within these movies has been.
Well, it wasn't the people we cared
balance
about here. It was Spider-Man. That's in reality. That's the only reason he did it.
I liked his relationship with his daughter, though. I thought that was definitely something that we haven't seen from the character that I think they did a pretty good job with.
And I know we'll get into this, but him meeting his dad was another.
Yeah, that was another big one.
Oh, that was foreshadowing. Yeah, when the moment that happened, I was like, "Oh, he's dying." That's the first thing I thought to myself. He's dying.
Of course, eventually, this is because it kind of skips around, so it's kind of hard to remember exactly what parts went where. But after that, it kind of skipped to Black Widow, Cap, and Ant-Man going to see Bruce Banner. Find out they Professor Hulk, which is pretty much Hulk's strength with Bruce Banner's intelligence, so he's not a big rage monster. And they were in a diner, kind of had a conversation about it. This obviously before Iron Man revealed to him that he did figure it out, and that's when they reintroduced Hulk. One thing I'll say about Hulk to quickly like kind of talk about the end. I think he really needed that revenge against Thanos. It kind of sucks they didn't give him that. A lot of people hate how he was kind of portrayed as the joke guy.
They've softened the Hulk up a lot.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know what it is with the Hulks. Maybe it was the start with Ragnarok, or it just seems like in Russo's films they don't like put him as a big part of the film, like in any action sense. Like he's not like a big part. Like in the original Avengers, he was probably the coolest part of that movie in terms of the action and just seeing him smash stuff recklessly. I know that he's evolved as a character, and that's kind of been the story to see the two come together as Professor Hulk. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff with the Hulk. I think the only thing I really missed from him was him just smashing stuff in the last battle. Like I liked the comedy. I liked them sort of like understanding each other, sort of the two personalities between Banner and the Hulk. But I mean, I think most of it worked for me, but especially like the selfie stuff, that was hilarious. But at the end, I don't know. I think they missed. That was one of the parts I really felt like they just missed the boat with. That was just having him in a big way in that action.
I think at the end they should have just had him just like rage out, like screw the Bruce Banner. He sees Thanos, he kind of like just rages out. Or when he's holding up the building that's about to fall on him, obviously as his rage grows, strength grows. Everyone knows that. He rages out. He saves Rocket and War Machine and goes right after Thanos and get some good hits in. I think that alone would have redeemed everything that happened to him in Infinity War. But they kind of missed the boat on that.
They missed that.
When you give him Ruffalo's personality or Banner's personality, That's what happens. I mean, we talked about this before in the non-spoiler review. Professor Hulk is not as strong as regular Hulk.
Yeah.
He's more intelligent, but he's not as strong because he doesn't have that rage behind him. And I think even a Bruce Banner being angry isn't the same as a Hulk. As Hulk being angry.
I think it would have been a cool moment for Banner to or Professor Hulk, whatever you want to do, just recognize that the Hulk was needed in this moment. Just have that moment where he recognizes that the Hulk is needed. He kind of comes to the fact that he needs the Hulk instead of Banner, or instead of it being a disease. They could have had that play, because I know that they said early in the movie, Professor Hulk says, I just recognized that he wasn't the disease, he was the cure, or something like that. So they probably could have had a moment at the end where he just lets go and he becomes the Hulk.
Yeah, he's one of the few characters that I don't think Marvel's recognized what people want to see out of him.
People want to see.
Yeah.
We don't want to see. We don't care about smart Professor Hulk. We want to see him. We want to see Hulk smash. That's.
And for them not
Hulk.
to give him that, I think was the biggest disservice in the entire film.
Yeah.
Him not to give him
That
that
was really the
smash
only
moment.
thing that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily that I didn't like, because I liked it, but I didn't. They missed it.
I think there's another big disservice too. I think Thor should have landed the final blow on Thanos. I get Tony snapped all the shit away or whatever. I'm fine with if it was me.
I've always wanted the Iron Man, so.
Well, I'm fine with Iron Man using the gauntlet. If it was me though, I would have had Iron Man use the gauntlet, but I would have had Thor with the kill blow on Thanos, especially after the road traveled for Thor.
See, this is the way I look at it, because I like that he snapped away, because that's been his whole goal, is to create 50% population, right? So I feel like that's sort of, I can't really think of the word right now, but it's just poetic in a way that he dies on the same way that he killed all these other people.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Thor get him.
Okay, so let me see. We kind of get into Act 2. Act 2 was it was the time travel, pretty much them traveling. This is after Tony says, "Oh, I figured it out," and he tells everyone. They build a time machine. I think Rocket was pretty underrated in this film. I don't think people talk about. He had some good moments.
Rocket's always good.
Yeah, pretty much.
One of the very still the one and only person who has had zero interaction with Thanos.
Really?
He hasn't had. He wasn't never even on the same planet as Thanos in that first movie until the very end of the movie. But he never directly had any interaction with Thanos, and it's kind of been a running joke since Infinity War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think he might be the only person who never had direct interaction. Well, I don't think Scarlett Johansson or Hawkeye did either, but Hawkeye wasn't in the first Infinity War, and Scarlett Johansson was.
Black Panther never did he?
Yeah, he did. He got fucking punched.
Yeah, he got punched. Yeah, he actually fought him, but Rocket never shot anything at him.
Are you talking about talking to him or fighting?
Either or, fighting or talking. Rocket's the only one who has had zero of that with Thanos.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really care about that, but.
Oh, it's just been a running joke since Infinity War. Because in Infinity War, he was really the only out of the main cast that didn't have any interaction.
You might have gotten a funny moment out of that, but I don't know.
Let me see.
Had him try to shoot him with his gun, and he gets messed up.
Yeah, gets bitch smacked or something. Because remember, the first movie, his whole thing was he was, while everybody else was trying to figure out what they wanted to do to stop Thanos, his whole thing was going as far away from Thanos as possible. That's why he went with Thor to get Stormbreaker, because he didn't want to go to where Thanos was. He volunteered not to. So
Rocket is arguably the best character in the Guardians. He's just a side point. I think he's been great.
Favorite is still Groot though. Gotta love Groot. There wasn't enough Groot in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a lot of the characters that got snapped away.
Because even at the end, there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I think it would have been pretty cool if they would have had small, teenage Groot and Ant-Man. That would have been pretty cool.
Let's see.
It would have been funny.
Well, the meat of the movie was the time travel thing where they went back to get the stones. A lot happened, and especially.
What about the taco scene?
Oh yeah, that happened like right. That happened like right before they time travel, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. That's when everybody was arriving when Rocket and Nebula and War Machine came back from Mexico, and all of them came back to get this going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because we skipped over when they were trying the time travel thing when Hawkeye.
Oh yeah. I just remember about that. Where where Hawkeye pretty much they tried to. Well, no, that was before. That was when it actually worked. The other time when they did it was with Ant-Man. He first got de-aged to like a baby. Another time he got they just made him really old. And I thought that was a pretty funny scene where this is when Bruce Banner was trying to do it and he didn't know what the hell he was doing. That definitely was a funny scene, them trying to time travel. One thing I'll say, I think, unless you've seen, like, because there's some movies that you probably had to see to understand, especially when you got to the time travel scenes. Like, Thor: Dark World. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who watch Infinity War and Endgame.
I don't think it's necessarily understanding what's happening because I think that's
get that
kind of
emotional
obvious.
Impact of him, like, losing his mother.
Yeah. Like,
Unless
I
you
think
saw
we needed
Dark World.
to see if we could count it down. I think Guardians would have been cool to see. Winter Soldier, Avengers, of course. Thor: Dark World. Am I missing any?
Doctor Strange.
Ultron,
well,
probably. Doctor Strange.
I think all the Thors you really have to see to really kind of understand why Thor was the way he was in this movie. Thor lost over the course of 3 movies. Thor lost everybody.
Yeah,
he lost literally everybody, and you really wouldn't understand how that's worn on him unless you've seen the first 3 movies. I mean, you're talking about mom, dad, brother, his entire basically,
and then all
of the civilization, and then Thanos on top of it. Like, you would really, in him not getting the kill blow on Thanos, like, you would have to see all of Thor's movie to really understand, like, why he is at this point.
And that's why I came to understood why they did what they did, and I think it was actually a wise choice after I sat with it for a while.
Yeah, he lost everything.
He lost everything, and is he really going to go to the gym and keep working out like that? Or is he just, like, I mean, he's just going to sit there and play Fortnite, like, come on.
Well, I guess people would expect he's a guy. He doesn't have to work out.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought, but I thought the beer thing was hilarious because, like, he's just drinking away his misery.
I don't think he would get fat for doing something like that. I don't think so. I'm not sure, but
I think it's actually in the comics. Is it not?
I don't recall.
You said
it might be. Like with him getting fat, like
I think there's one story of him getting fat in the comics.
Yeah, there's one.
That's probably what they went for then. But yeah, because I don't know, because they were essentially trying to play like that, like, oh, he's lost everything, but then it was him, like, the way he looked, it was kind of played as a joke. So they're kind of trying to do both. I don't know.
Yeah, it maybe got a little jokey.
Yeah, especially seeing that, like, this dude's like he's drinking essentially because
it was funny.
He didn't interact with the other Asgardians really like that, and all he did was like sit in the house and drink. And
yeah. Well, the one thing I think they should have did with him is the moment he powered up when he had Stormbreaker and his armor came on, he should have got skinny again. Right?
That's what I thought.
If him powering up can change how his hair is fixed, and it puts his hair in a ponytail from being down at the side, it should be able to fix the too. You know, like,
I will say,
as soon as he powers up and the armor's on, he should have got skinny.
I will say, though, I feel like he did power up. Like, he did get a lot stronger at the end of the movie.
He didn't get stronger. He just had 2 weapons.
Yeah, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker.
Maybe
because he got Mjolnir back when he went back, of course, to Asgard, which was pretty much the events of Thor: Dark World. So it was cool as shit to see him dual wield it at the end. You know, when I was at the theaters, people went crazy for that. When they saw him call
when he got Mjolnir back.
Yeah, when they saw him like call both of them, it was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that should have gave him a huge power boost, which they didn't do.
Yeah.
Well, because they had the Cap moment, which I'll trade that for.
But even if you give him a huge power boost, I mean, at that point, I mean, he's fighting Thanos, so I mean, it still would make sense that Thanos is, still giving him the business, but at least give Thor a huge power boost. Like, Cap did more with Mjolnir than Thor did.
I think that was well earned, though.
Earned, yeah, but it's not even Cap's weapon. Like, we're talking about the synonymous weapon of Thor. We're not just talking about...
I think it was, I don't know, man. I saw...
He
But Thor,
been using
Thor
that weapon
kicked
for 1,000
ass
years.
last
Yeah,
movie.
he's been using that weapon for thousands of years, and Cap picks it up one time, and he's fucking slinging that sumbitch around better than we've seen Thor do it. Like,
Okay, but like
that part, like, come on.
Thor kicked like a lot of ass in Infinity War, though. So like I really
He
like
should,
that
though.
Cap
He's
got
the
his
most
moment
powerful.
in
He
battle.
should.
Yeah,
Thor
but
should. He's the
can
most
other
powerful.
characters not have their moments to shine?
Yeah, but you don't depower another character, another main
He's
character.
fat.
He's still a god. Captain America's human.
They shouldn't have made him fat. I personally don't think they should have made him fat.
I liked it. I like taking risks sometimes. I enjoyed it.
Because it kind of made his situation like a joke to people.
If you made a list of people you wanted to see fight Thanos the most after Infinity War,
Yeah.
would Cap be in your top 4?
Yes, because I didn't get to see it.
You did. He got punched one
Yeah,
time.
but I wanted to see Cap like do well against him. Is what I'm trying
he
to
got
say.
punched one time. It was out cold. We don't need to see him at that point.
But Cap is such a big part of this movie
Yes,
at the end of the
he
day.
is. I don't need him versus Thanos. Like, if you're telling me after everything that happened, if I had to make a list of people I wanted to see fight Thanos the most,
He did kill him.
Obviously, Thor and Hulk and Iron Man are the top 3 people that you would want to see fight Thanos the most after all of this shit.
He did kill him though.
It was inconsequential though. It didn't matter. In the grand scope, in the grand scheme of things, him killing Thanos made no difference on how the movie played out.
I think it was wise to have Cap be one of the top guys fighting him just because of the way the movie resolved and the way that he moved on.
Say Thor wasn't the one that killed Thanos at the beginning of the movie, and say Captain Marvel or Cap did it at the beginning of the movie. Does that even change how the movie plays out at all? If Thor wasn't the one who with the beheading, it doesn't change anything. Like Thor's role, honestly, Thor's role in this entire movie really had no bearing on anything. Like, he was really a side character, and especially for one of the original Avengers, his role in the movie had very little effect on the movie. Like, Infinity War, he went to go get Stormbreaker because everybody knew Thor is our best chance at fighting Thanos.
That's why I think they had to balance it out, though, because Cap was left on the sidelines last movie.
No, he wasn't. He was still...
Yes, he was.
Him and Tony were having a little spat, but they were busy getting their ass kicked by the Black Order.
Cap did nothing last movie. He just sat there.
Well, he got punched in the face and was out cold. But that's the thing, though. Thor is stronger. Thor's more powerful than Cap, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
How is putting up a better fight versus somebody in
But
Thor?
Thor didn't grow old.
No, he didn't grow old. But Thor has 1,000 years.
Thor's gonna be in Guardians 3, and he's gonna have a Rocky montage where he gets back in shape with Rocket and Groot.
But Thor has 1,000 years of fighting experience, and he has 2 mythical, magical weapons. And you're telling me Cap is the guy putting up a better fight?
I don't know. I do
that-
get it. Like, I did miss a little bit of Thor in the last battle, but he was in it a lot. He just didn't really dominate the fight.
And here's the thing: out of these 2 movies, how much fighting did we even get from Thor? Maybe a combined.
Thor was a beast last movie.
He only fought at the end of the movie.
Thor was like the main character of last movie.
How much fighting did Thor do in the last movie?
Thor was the main character. I don't care how much fighting he did.
No, that matters.
He took out the entire
It
battlefield.
matters
Man.
because here's the thing: nobody gives a fuck about character development with Thor. He's a meathead. We want to see him fight shit. Like, that's what it is.
That's not the point. You just talked about how much pain he had.
Jacked up dude with a fucking hammer. If
I
there's
don't know, I
somebody
disagree.
that we want to see smash shit, it's Thor. Like,
But they had so much character development with Thor that it actually made sense what he did.
no character development needed really with Thor. Okay, you know what? Thanos
You
killed
just
my
talked about how his whole family's dead.
It's most basic of shit. If you kill my brother, fuck the rest of my family. If you kill my brother, I gotta kill you. That's it. Like, you killed my brother. Thanos. That doesn't count at the beginning. It's inconsequential.
I like the snap.
He killed limping Thanos, who was being held down by 3 other people. That's like nothing.
Do you want the I am Iron Man moment or Thor knocking his head off?
You can still get the I am. I'm not saying don't. I'm not saying take away the I am Iron Man moment. But Thor should have been the one.
How would you not take it away if you have Thor kill him?
Thor should have been the one fighting Thanos instead of Cap.
He's saying over Cap.
He was one of them.
No, not one of them, because all 3 of them were fighting him at the same time. But then you got the extended fight between Cap and Thanos. No, that should have been Thor. Right, Nobody has fought as much in this shit as Thor. And then put it this way: Thanos didn't necessarily kill anybody personally when it comes to Cap. Like, Thanos didn't kill Peggy Carter. He didn't kill Winter Soldier. Like, Thor watched Thanos snap his brother's neck. Like, what?
Yeah, I can see both sides. I can see where you're coming from. I just think the way that the movie was set up and how big of a character Thor was in the first one, I just preferred Cap. But I can understand why you prefer Thor.
In this one, he is that powerful. You're telling me Cap is going to put up a better fight against Thanos than Thor? That's
with
ridiculous.
the hammer and his pure determination.
Thor had a hammer and an axe and didn't put up as good a fight as Cap.
Yeah, but he's fat.
He's a god. He's a god. Like
that, and he's physically stronger than.
He's
by a lot.
Yeah, but he's had too many beers. He's probably hungover.
He could drink 1,000,000 beers, and I bet he's still stronger than Cap.
I just want to bring this up, random, like, get out of this conversation topic, but like, I just saw a tweet, like, do you guys think you're, like, excited at all to see Spider-Man?
Not really.
Because I feel like, I don't know, like, the first time in a while, I feel like this is almost a skippable one.
Okay, what I'm excited about with Spider-Man is Mysterio because of the CG. That was kind of my whole thing going into it. Like, I wasn't really a big fan of the first Homecoming, so it's kind of like, whatever. And as soon as I found out they were doing Mysterio, I was like, oh, that's going to look really cool on screen. So that's kind of my excitement for the movie is Mysterio.
I think it's about time for them to take a break. After Spider-Man, they are taking a break. I think it's about that time. People from I've said, like, people like End Game, people almost burnt out. Definitely almost burnt out.
Yeah, that burnt me out. After I watched that movie, I was like done for the rest of the night.
And some of the character stories, being wrapped up, kind of burnt out. It's like, some of the best characters are gone now.
I will say, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Do you think they finally gave Spider-Man the Uncle Ben moment in this movie?
Nah.
No.
You don't think that's the Uncle Ben moment?
That's only one Uncle Ben.
Because here's the thing. They gave away Tony dying without even realizing it. If you watch that Spider-Man Homecoming trailer, he stopped being Spider-Man. And I connected the dots before the movie even came out, like, oh, he stopped being Spider-Man because Tony died. That's the only reason he would stop being Spider-Man. And so they kind of gave that away in the Homecoming trailer. I don't know if anybody caught it.
The Far From Home one?
Yeah, the Far From Home. He had stopped when they were going overseas in the trailer or whatever for the little trip or whatever. He had stopped being Spider-Man, and he didn't take a suit or anything. Like, he had stopped being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so that kind of was almost a dead giveaway. Like,
people just didn't want to accept it.
People didn't want to accept that it was going to be Iron Man dying, but it was a dead giveaway that because what other reason would he stop being Spider-Man?
Close enough. I didn't pay attention close enough.
They kind of gave it away. It's like, what other reason would he stop being Spider-Man?
But like, I don't know. It does make sense if they don't want to do the whole Uncle Ben thing, which they clearly don't because they don't want to get anywhere close to it. It would make sense to use Iron Man, Tony Stark as the motivation, as the Uncle Ben, as the kind of reason why Spider-Man continues to be Spider-Man and goes on to do the great power.
My problem with that is I don't know if that works because Uncle Ben was the reason he became Spider-Man. Period.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite. Yeah, like
he became Spider-Man.
Why is it opposite though? Like.
Because he's already been a Spider-Man.
Because he's already been Spider-Man?
Yeah. Spider-Man, yeah.
But I mean, we haven't really seen him be Spider-Man, though. We've seen him be Spider-Iron Boy.
Oh, we've seen Homecoming. He's pretty much a apprentice of Iron Man. So.
Yeah. And he's
I don't know, maybe he changes.
he stops being Spider-Man. So it's the exact opposite effect. Like Tony dying, he stopped being Spider-Man, and versus Uncle Ben, when Uncle Ben died, he chose to be Spider-Man.
Because they haven't even brought up Uncle Ben. Like, not once. They haven't said his name.
Yeah, but still, it's still the opposite effect either way, though. Like, Tony dying isn't making him be Spider-Man. Tony
Maybe
dying
I'm
is making him give up the mantle. Versus with Uncle Ben died, he chose to be Spider-Man instead of giving up the mantle or embracing his power, should I say, because he had.
Well, maybe that's what they're going for. Is he'll like take a break and realize that he needs to be Spider-Man. Maybe that's what they're going for.
So
I think it's going to be more so out of necessity because if they're getting attacked, it really doesn't.
Maybe I'm just being a hopeful Spider-Man fan that doesn't want a shitty second movie. How about that?
Well, at this point after the first one, I'd give up those hopes. It'd be good from just a regular movie-goer standpoint, but if you're a hardcore Spider-Man fan, you're probably not going to like the second one either. So
yeah, it's actually kind of like when I talk to a lot of people just about Spider-Man and about the movies, like I find it hard to actually explain why I don't like this Spider-Man because it's just like it's hard to explain to somebody that doesn't really love Spider-Man why I don't like Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to explain. They took away Spider-Man's independence.
They took away the essence of Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man never needed help from anyone to fight his own villains. No.
Yeah, even so much as people knowing who he was. That was Spider-Man guarded that secret with his life. I like, and
they'll just be like, "Oh, but he's funny though."
Yeah, I mean, how many people in the first movie found out he was Spider-Man, right? Like, on top of Ned, his aunt, and Tony knowing he was Spider-Man, literally the rest of the Avengers knew.
I'm glad you brought up Ned. Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out. So when they're snapped back, it's 5 years in the future. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now in 2024?
Yep.
And they're still in high school. So like, how does this work? Like, you
got to remember, they came back at the same age. They came back at the same age as when they were that.
So, is there going to be like Flash is going to be like 4 years older than them? Like, how are they going to do this?
Well, if Flash got zapped too, then
or are they just going to conveniently have everyone, including Mary Jane, be the same age?
They'll say they all got snapped. That's what they're going to
say.
Yeah,
they all got snapped.
That's what they're going to say. It's like all of them got snapped. It's like, yeah.
All the important characters got snapped.
Yeah.
I do want to see how they play into that, though, like in terms of it being 5 years in the future. Like, do we see more technological advance? Like, how do they play into that?
I saw a comment. It's kind of talking about the 5. Remember when it's kind of talking about
which
another
I do think
IP.
we see technological advances. I think that plays into the villains of Far From Home.
Remember when Kevin Feige said you won't see him for the next 5 years, referring to the X-Men? Remember that shit?
Oh,
we had 5 years. He didn't say if it was the movie or actual 5 years.
I told Calvin like 2 months ago. I said, yeah, he gonna announce something at Comic-Con. They're not gonna just give up that information that.
What do you think they do with X-Men? Do you think they have like a movie with them first and then go like have them in the Avengers, or do they introduce them in the next Avengers movie?
They're gonna get a few. They're gonna get this. They're gonna.
Yeah.
You'll probably see some kind of Easter egg to them, like something leading up to it. Then they're gonna get their movie.
It's Feige's favorite comic book, and if you like last year when we found out that the wholesale was going on, because we're almost at the 1.5 year mark of when we found out, because that was January of last year. Yeah. Like, if you're telling me Kevin Feige hasn't been sitting there planning for his favorite comic book franchise for 1.5 years, I would call you crazy. Like, he's been planning.
Before we talk
he's been scouting.
Before we talk about X-Men, we'll get through the movie. What y'all think about?
We're just go jumping everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. What y'all think about like the points where they like where they time traveled to? Obviously, it's just a big nostalgia thing for someone who's like kept up with the movie since.
My favorite one was the elevator with Hail Hydra.
Oh yeah, because we thought we were gonna get like a repeat of the Winter Soldier scene. It was like he just went to the one guy and said Hail Hydra.
And I think it made even a better impact for me knowing that was the Russo's first film.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So being like, oh, that probably meant like a lot to them too, like just seeing that, and then the America's Ass was a great like joke.
My favorite was Banner in the Ancient One. She smacked the soul out of him.
She was like He was like, I didn't come to ask for the stone. I'm sorry, I might have to take it. She said, you don't want to do this. And just punch your soul out. Now we can talk. Yeah. So it shows how much of a beast she was.
And
I did
she
not
was
see that
helping in
coming
the
either.
battle too.
Which battle?
She was helping in the battle in New York. She was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool to see her. I didn't think she was gonna be.
That was actually a big moment. Like that, he explained to her how it would work and everything.
When he mentioned Doctor Strange, she immediately believed him.
Yeah,
Because she pretty
that
much,
was a great moment too for Doctor.
yeah, because that was pretty much during the events of the first Avengers.
Yeah, she has the time stone, so she knows.
Yeah, she said he was destined to be the best of us, so she immediately believed him and gave him the stone. And then that's kind of like right before they kind of explained how the whole time thing works. Like, okay, if we're removing the stones here, will it change something in the future? He was like, no, if we do that, then bring the stones back to like that point, the timeline will still run its course regular. So that's kind of quick way to explain to people watching, because people at this point is like, okay,
Yeah.
time travel, because time travel is easy to screw up in films.
Yeah,
Like
and
films,
I think
TV shows, we've seen it being screwed up in Flash. Like, come on, time travel is
I think
easy
that's
to
the
screw up.
most brilliant thing that they did out of anything in this movie in terms of writing. I think them setting boundaries on time travel, and explaining them boundaries to a person, to like a non-comic book fan, so they would understand. I think that is the most brilliant thing about this movie, because you could fuck up time travel really easily, and they set the boundaries. If somebody's dead, they're dead.
Mhm.
Certain things that are supposed to happen are going to happen regardless, no matter what you do. Some things you just can't change from happening, and this is what happens with timelines when you screw with them. They can go this way, or they can come back to where they originally were. I think that's just because of how easy it is to fuck it up and how often we see it fucked up with comic book shit, that is the best thing that they did in this movie to me, is the time travel kind of setting the boundaries.
Yeah, and it was real short, couple minutes where they explained, Banner explained how we can keep it from split diverging into different timelines. He was like, we bring them back, there'll be one, the timeline will be corrected. We just need to use it now. We need to go to our time to use it to bring everybody back. So it made a lot of sense. They explained it real quick. And most movies that do time travel usually do a real, you got something that's good, but a lot of them do a really crap job of explaining how time travel works. You don't really find out to the end, and then you kind of got to dig deep to find out. You didn't really have to do that here because they explained it in a real simple way.
I think just in general, the writing was fantastic on every level.
Yeah.
Just not even, people are calling it like fan service. I think that's kind of a degrading word for what they did in this film. Like, they had callbacks to other things and stuff like that, but it was just building the characters off of past events and seeing how they affected those characters. And then seeing them in the past, I think, was just a really unique perspective on how those characters have grown and changed. Like, just on every level from, it wasn't the most hilarious movie ever, but like the comedy was on point for most part. Just the writing of every character, being able to balance every character. Every main character basically had like their own story within the movie, which I think helps having the 3 hours, obviously, but they did a really good job with that.
I like the Cap versus Cap fight. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh yeah, that was cool. And young Cap was kicking his ass too.
He was. He was like,
With that
I
goofy
could
suit.
do this all day. He's like, yeah, I know.
That was good.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna say that at the end
Yeah.
against Thanos, but he didn't.
Because when they travel back in time, they split into teams to get the stones. I'm gonna get to the big one last. War Machine, Nebula went to what's the name of the planet? It's escaping my mind right now. Oof. Because they went
The Guardians planet.
Yeah, they went to go get the Power Stone. Yeah, they went to the Power Stone. Yeah, they went to go get the Power Stone, and that's when you kind of, these were events that were going to lead to the final battle where Nebula, that timeline's Nebula, and of course the timeline from 5 years in the future, well, it was a little bit longer than that. From the future, somehow they're like
Connected.
they were connected, and one was seeing the one from that timeline that they were in was seeing the futures, what the memories and what she was seeing during that time, and that's when they do get the Power Stone to go back, but only War Machine goes back. She essentially gets trapped in that timeline. They capture her, pretty much get all the information they need to see what how everything unfolded. So that essentially leads up to Thanos pretty much coming to the future and trying to get the gauntlet, trying to get the stones right then. He was like, "Well, you gathered them for me." And that I thought that scene where the Nebula from the past kind of she was pretty much working as a spy.
Yeah, that's the most unexpected part of the movie.
Yeah, she was pretty much working as a spy.
Because, especially after you killed the earlier Thanos in the movie, it's like you kind of figure, okay, when they go back in time, they're going to have to fight Thanos. But you didn't know that Thanos was just going to time travel to the future.
Yeah.
Like, and on top of that, you didn't really foresee that they were going to use the Nebula thing as, okay, both of these Nebulas share the same memories, so this is how they find out. Like, you kind of really didn't. Yeah, that was completely the most unexpected part of the movie to me.
Not only Ant-Man was better than ever, but Nebula was better than ever in this one too.
Yeah, because she had more of a feature role too. So definitely,
that was a really unique yet really great way of using that character, and like also a logical way that was very easy to understand for the audience to understand how Thanos ends up fighting them at the end.
And that was that way. That was that way of bringing Gamora back too.
Yes.
Because essentially what happened with her in the Soul Stone can't be brought back.
And now she's even a more interesting character because it's basically starting from scratch with her. Now in Guardians 3, like, they have to start from scratch. They have to find her again.
I suspect that the villain of the next Guardians will be some type of if you could imagine, we all watched The Flash, Time Wraith. I would imagine that there's something, because Gamora's not supposed to exist in that timeline, and she's the only part of the movie from that past timeline that exists in the current timeline, because they even took Thor's hammer back. So something tells me that there's going to be some type of something to do with some time, something to do with
somebody trying to set it right.
Entity that owns time.
Some sort of Legends thing. Trying
to set it right, and well, I think the villain is going to be the one that's trying to get rid of Gamora, and it's going to be a race to find Gamora.
Yeah.
And so I think
and it has to be pretty strong if Thor's going to be in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which it could have something to do with the Eternals movie, too. Right? Because the Eternals is the next movie after Spider-Man that's planned to come out. So it could have something to do with that.
And speaking of the Soul Stone.
Oh, man.
Well, the two that, like I said, they went in teams. The two that went to, what's the name of the planet, MG? Can't think of the name of the planet right now.
Vormir? Yeah.
Hawkeye, who was at the time, when they found him, speaking of him, like, he had a dope scene when they first, of course, you saw him at the very beginning of the movie, with him kind of spending time with his family. They get erased, and he's, like, wondering what's going on. You see him later in Tokyo, pretty much. He's like, well, you guys got to survive, so why do you get to survive? So he's just out there killing. He's out there killing gang members in Tokyo as Ronin, complete badass.
Add Hawkeye to the list of better than ever.
Yeah, and he of course gets added to the team, but they go to that planet, of course, to get the Soul Stone. Now you know how to get the Soul Stone, so we knew someone was dying, and this is another problem I have, not necessarily with the movie, but with the way they announced stuff. They announced a Hawkeye TV show, which was it was him training Kate Bishop, right?
Yep.
Well, he's not gonna fucking die.
Yep.
And we know Black Widow's movie's a prequel, so she was the logical choice to die.
Can I throw something out here?
Mm-hmm.
Should they have had Hulk instead of Hawkeye.
Hmm.
I know that Hulk would easily overpower her, though, so that would be kind of an unfair fight.
That's probably why they
But
didn't do it.
that's probably why they didn't do it, but it kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, and
I
that's
think-
well, I think they kind of wanted to come full circle because they were best friends. I mean, even going back to the first movie, and I think it kind of was a callback to remember when Hawkeye was brainwashed
I understand
by
that,
Loki, and they were fighting kind of, and she had to kind of ring his bell for him to come back. I think it was kind of a little bit of a callback to that too.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, I
also-
get that. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of
And
thought
I think
about
they never, ever since Age of Ultron, they've never even jumped back into the Black Widow.
Well, they
Hulk
did
thing
sort of
either.
with Hulk after she died, though.
Yeah,
like
a
Hulk.
little bit. Like he was mad, he threw the stool or he threw the bench or whatever. But that was really it. Like you never even really seen those two interact together either. Because remember when they went to go find Hulk, that was like a very brief conversation, and then they had her go off and find Ronan, and that was really all we seen of them really interacting. Anyways, like they kept them pretty separate.
Yeah, they
Which I think that what they've kind of gone with that whole explanation is, I mean, Hulk spent how many years, in space? He
Yeah,
was gone for
Ragnarok,
what,
yeah.
like how many years had passed at that point when he had,
It was a couple.
yeah, it had been
I
a
think
few
probably
years.
like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they kind of just gone with that. They've been separated for so long that whole relationship thing is just off the table. Anyways, they might care about each other, but we're not even gonna be thinking about it.
Yeah.
The,
I do think that they missed something maybe there with a callback to Red Skull and Cap. They could have done something.
I think it. Okay, now if you're telling me that Cap should have shown up there with with Black Widow for that stone, then I would have been okay with that.
Because that's interesting, because we know Cap can die.
Well, not just that, but his interaction with Red Skull, like him seeing Red
exactly.
Skull would have been like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah, they could have fought each other or something.
Yeah. Well, not even just them two fighting, but I mean, Cap's goody two shoes ass. I mean, he's gonna try to convince Black Widow not to jump off, and it's just kind of it obviously.
And they have a relationship that's pretty strong. That's already talked about in the movie before that point.
So I think that would have.
But Cap was doing other shit. That's the problem.
I think the reason the Hawkeye one does work, like I said, the Cap one will work, but they had to put him with Tony. They had to.
For what they did, yeah.
Yeah. The reason the Hawkeye one works because he didn't really care anymore. He was with, his family was essentially gone. He was ready to sacrifice himself.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I think it also I know that they had that announcement, but I think it does make sense that he would want to sacrifice himself because of what he's been through as Ronin. And then, but also having the other part of he could see his family again. But I did think they chose the right character to end up dying there, sacrificing.
But I think for a lot of people,
I don't
that
like
came
the
as a
quick
surprise.
turn. I don't like the quick turnaround though. Like one day he's killing crime bosses, and then the next day, I should atone for my sins. It's a little quick turnaround there, Hawkeye.
I mean, he was like. He
was murdering dudes.
If you gotta understand though, he was at a point where he was broken pretty much.
Oh,
maybe
was broken.
he just realized
he was broken, of course, but even at that, you don't just go from murdering dudes to talking about you should atone for your sins,
because doesn't he say to Black Widow don't give me hope or something? So maybe their explanation is he got hope back. I don't know. There's only so much you can do, even in 3 hours.
I think it was a little bit of a quick turnaround there. I don't have a problem with him coming to that realization eventually, but it's been a day, dude.
How many people in your theaters I guess care? What did people in your theaters do when
Nothing.
Black Widow?
I think it was really silent.
Yeah, it was weirdly silent for a character that's been around for so long.
No, but I think that's a good thing, sort of. People are on the edge of their seat. At least that's the same way it was for Iron Man, though. For me, in my theater.
It was sniffling.
People with Iron Man Well, Iron Man, it was sniffling. I seen some people crying, but like Black Widow,
I was
like,
tearing up for
nobody batted an eyelash in my theater. Nobody made a sound. Nobody batted an eyelash. I didn't hear
crazy.
I didn't hear a
like,
gasp or anything. Like people were just okay with it.
I did hear the gasp now, but like no sniffling. Did hear gasp like when she jumped off and you saw her down there. It's like people like, oh, I was surprised by that shit. But yeah, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't the reaction. I think. Based on the character's been around that long, it's been in so many movies.
I don't think people have ever necessarily had an emotional attachment to that character either, though.
And I think it's because she had. If she would have got her own movie,
I think she is a great character, though. That's the thing.
She's a great character, but she's never, quote unquote, been the focus.
And I also
she's
think
had her moments.
For like diehard MCU fans, I also feel like that was like a really good way for it, like just to happen.
Yeah, but
it almost feel like accepted it.
Never had that emotional attachment of other characters, like even because even if you think about character growth, right? Because even if you look at somebody like a Hawkeye, who is another one of the smaller characters out of the main group, you see him with his family, they give you something to get emotionally attached to, right? With Black Widow, they didn't really give you anything. Part of it is because of who her character is at the beginning. She's she's a cold assassin, right? And she's kind of growing, but even as she grows, she didn't really have that family to connect to, and I think that's one of the reasons why earlier in the movie they tried to set it up with saying that's her family that I ever have, and I think they tried to set it up because they realized it, but I think it was too little, too late. If that makes sense.
They probably shouldn't have killed her off.
She's having her own movie, but I'm guessing it's a prequel.
What's the thing about she should have got that movie after Age of Ultron?
Yep.
Because she had that flashback of kind of what she had to go through, becoming an assassin. She should have got her damn movie.
Which I thought was really like cool and interesting. Like that flashback was like one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go see her movie when they bring it out.
That's why I said.
But I will say there is. Yeah. I mean, if they really wanted to mess with things, there is a way that they could bring her back, and just saying that, like, because Cap put the Soul Stone back, they got the life back for the Soul Stone.
Because even
they could do that.
Even if you do that, that would mean the original Gamora would come back too.
But no, wait,
they went back before Thanos got the original.
But Thanos would have to put it back, wouldn't he?
No. Why?
There's only one Soul Stone, so if you think they go back in time and they get the Soul Stone before Cap gets it, in essence, the Thanos thing never happens.
But one thing about it, Cap probably put it back after Black Widow already died. So he put it back after a point where she just... Well,
that's what I mean.
But it's a point before Gamora, though. So everything still happened. Like, Thanos still did everything. Like, that's the reason they put the stones back. Thanos still did all that stuff. So Gamora still got her ass thrown down there. That still happened. And they made sure to keep it that way.
When I was talking about them explaining the rules of time travel, this is one of the rules that they set in place, right?
Yeah.
If you're dead, and they hinted at it too. If you die because of obtaining the Soul Stone, you're dead. There's no coming back from it. That's kind of the rule that they set for that stone. So, I don't think there's any reversing that one.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. The last time travel bit, of course, you got them. When you got Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Cap. Of course, they went back to get the scepter. They went back to get the Tesseract. Well, they couldn't get the Tesseract back because they screwed up. Loki picks up the Tesseract, gets up out of there, and that's probably
says, "I want a show."
Yeah, that's probably leading to his show.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Damn, we screwed up." So now they went back further to get the Tesseract, like, around the time where S.H.I.E.L.D. was still, trying to build up. That's when Tony meets his dad. That's when Cap sees Peggy. So it's this is definitely foreshadowing things that we're definitely going to see at the end. But the scene with Tony and his dad, like, he was nervous. He was really nervous.
I've never seen him like that. That was interesting.
Yeah, and you got a lot of new things from him, and it's crazy after 11 years but you got to see him as a dad. You know, see him interact with his child, and then you
And
got
I
to see
think
him as a
that's why
son.
he was I think that's why he was nervous, because he's a dad now, so he kind of understands his
Yeah,
dad.
because he was asking him all those questions. Because you know, Howard mentioned that pretty much his wife was pregnant with, of course, Tony at the time, and he just asked him a bunch of questions, just trying to understand him. Like
But
even,
this is where
even
they
gives him
gave
a hug
away.
at the end. Yeah.
This is where they really gave away Tony dying.
Yeah, when you get something emotional like that, it's like,
Some of the
something's wrong.
dialogue was like when he, like at the end, where his dad told him basically it's hard choosing between the world and your family type of shit. Like at that point, it's kind of like, yeah, well, here we go.
Yep.
Like, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
he's dying.
Mm-hmm. So, after that, they pretty much gathered up all the stones. That's when they found out. That's when they found out about Black Widow. And, I thought she should have got something kinda at the end
Was I the only person that wanted Cap to enter that room?
with Peggy.
Yeah.
I really didn't care. I'm not a big Cap fan, so I really didn't care.
Man, I can understand why he stayed though. Boy, you see that woman? Come on, man. Look at it. I went back and stayed too.
Exactly.
I kind of thought Black Widow should have got a little something at the end, but it was all about Tony. But after they got the stones, that's when they essentially, they build their own gauntlet to pretty much house the stones. And around this time, this is when other Nebula, pretty much like all the stones are gathered, and she gives the coordinates, and they pop through and completely wreck their whole building. I'm surprised no one died there, honestly. Like War Machine or some shit. Like because I thought he was gonna die at some point in the movie. Just is like, well, I mean, what else is he doing after this movie? Really, I mean, no Iron Man.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna be interesting to see if they use him with the whole Iron Man dying thing.
Yeah, so like, I thought maybe we should like killed him off or something like that. Honestly, I thought Ant-Man died because he took a blast right to the face. I guess
Ant-Man's like the hardest to kill though, because he can just turn into
he could just shrink down to like the size of an atom or some shit, and he can completely avoid it. But Thanos shows in the spaceship and completely wrecks the whole battlefield. That's when you get before that, so I'm kind of skipping around. I'm sorry. Before that, you saw Hulk. Hulk was like, well, we can bring everybody back, but you saw what the damn thing did to Thanos. I'm the only one here that, maybe Thor, are only two that could probably survive it. So it's like, well, he was the one. He struggled real hard using the stone, but he did, of course, bring everybody back. But that kind of that would be the excuse.
That's another spoiler for the end too for Iron Man. They gave you hints all throughout the movie Tony was gonna die.
Yeah, that's gonna be their excuse of like why Hulk wasn't in the final battle, because he was injured or whatever. So
He held up a building.
Yeah, he held up a building afterwards. Which at that point, that's when he should have like just raged out and just started whooping ass. That was that moment that had a Hulk smash moment.
Especially with them mentioning that it was gamma radiation that was emitted.
It should have
from
powered him
the
up,
stones.
right?
It should have, if not powered him up, he should have been angry, and his healing factor should have kicked in.
Yeah, it should have kicked out the Bruce Banner side, and the gamma radiation kind of activated the rage side of the Hulk. But they didn't do that, so I think that was a huge misstep. But of course, after Thanos showed up, that's when he pretty much just sat outside.
That was cool.
And that's when you got, because at the time Hawkeye was down in like the basement running for his life with the gauntlet. That's when you got the Cap, Iron Man, Thor versus Thanos fight. And this is where the crowd went nuts, especially like I said, when Thor called both of them on there, and Stormbreaker. That's when the crowd went crazy over that. Of course, as the fight went on, this is when Thanos started calling down, because remember all his people, of course, they're from the other timeline, so they're back alive now. So he called down his whole army. Then that's when another huge, like, people clapping, cheering, is when they brought everybody back. You saw Black Panther. When people saw Black Panther,
That was epic.
the theaters
I've
went
never been in a
freaking
theater
crazy.
for a moment like that in my life.
Yeah.
The theater
That was
went
insane.
crazy. You saw Black Panther. You saw Okoye. You saw Shuri. The theater went crazy. You saw all these portals open up. You saw Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was a big one.
You saw everybody. You know, Doctor Strange showed up. So this is you had,
I'm so confused on how this actually happens, though.
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so they snap, they're all alive, but why? I don't understand how they show up.
Doctor Strange teleports in there.
Yeah, all the sorcerers teleport them there.
Yeah, because they probably came back to the point where they disappeared. Now, a point where they disappeared, and Doctor Strange.
Did he like gather them all up? Like
Well, I'm pretty sure the sorcerers all have some way of communicating.
Yeah,
But
They all have to have some type of way of communicating to each other without necessarily being.
are you
physically
wondering
in front of each
where
other.
they showed up when they came back?
yeah, like where they showed up. Like, what was the process of getting them all together to get to that place, and then
It did.
like,
It
appear?
did kind of take a while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, all of them
coordinated-
knew
And then,
All of them knew it
Spider-Man was like, "Yeah, Doctor Strange just said we were like, it's
You know
our time
why?
to come."
You know
Well,
why?
put it this way though: if the ancient one knew who everybody was, I would assume that Strange knows who everybody is. So he probably, when everybody came back, he probably said, "Okay, this person's here, here, and here.
You
Go
know,
get him."
You know why
Yeah.
he was able to gather everybody? Because he knew that shit was gonna happen.
Yeah.
that's
he knew,
true.
He knew that outcome. Because
That was one of the coolest moments of the movie when he looks over at Tony and he puts his finger in there.
Yeah, because Tony asked him, "Was like, is this the one outcome that we win?"
I can't tell you where
He
it's
said, "I
going or
can't
what
tell
happened."
you, or it's gonna change." And then right when
He
this is,
uses one of the stones to power up.
yeah, this is when of course the battle with you see Cap get Mjolnir, which was huge. People went crazy over that as well.
That was insane.
They kind of played what's the name of that? What's the name of that NFL commercial where they played with the gauntlet?
Oh, NFL 100.
Yeah, they kind of did that with the gauntlet. With Black Panther had it, Doctor Strange had it.
Black Panther is looking like Barry Sanders there.
Yeah.
Did you notice the one detail that I think a lot of people missed?
What's that?
There's the fifth person from the Black Order, because a lot of people don't know there's 5 members of the Thanos' Black Order, and there was only 4 in the first movie. Their 5th one was in this one.
I didn't.
Really?
I did
It
not
was
notice
that. So when Thanos' fleet first landed, it's that gigantic fucking like giant looking thing. That's the 5th one.
Oh.
Yeah, he's bigger than Corvus Glaive, but yeah, he wasn't in the first movie, and I think a lot of people didn't know that there was 5 people in the Black Order.
Yeah,
So
they've only shown the 4. Yeah.
yeah, he wasn't in the first one at all. So yeah, he was in this one. He got killed really quickly though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was that the one that Drax jumped on his back. It wasn't.
Drax.
Well, who was the one that Ant-Man stomped?
I think that was Corvus Glaive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do remember one of them getting stomped.
The Ant-Man moment, a lot of people cheered too.
Yeah.
Big Ant-Man.
Of course, Captain Marvel does show up in the fight. Dead silence when she showed up.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, honestly, yeah.
Even though she did some pretty cool shit, it was like kind of like people really didn't care.
I will say I like Captain Marvel in this movie more than
That's because
Captain
she's
Marvel.
not. That's because she's not in it.
I guess.
I like.
That's because she's barely in it.
I will say I hate her haircut though.
Ooh, yeah, they went with the current.
And I know
comics,
people
like,
are gonna hate me for saying that, but
Nah, they went with the current. They should have kept her hair the way the other one was with the long hair, and not this short.
I don't really
Justin
get the
Bieber haircut. It's because
yeah, I don't really get the short
current,
hair thing
It's because
anymore.
it's the current book. They're trying to kind of they're trying to pretty
okay.
much do that.
Yeah.
I think some characters got some good spots. Scarlet Witch got some good spots. She saw her eyes were red. She was fucking Thanos up.
And she's like, "You're gonna pay for what you did," or something like that. And he's like, "I don't even know who you are."
She said, "You will," and they could just like pretty much lifted him up, was tearing his arm off and stuff, all that stuff.
I was watching an interview with the actress that plays Scarlet Witch. I don't know her name.
Elizabeth
Olsen, okay. She was like, "Yeah, when I'm doing those scenes, I'm just randomly moving my arms and hands around, and like stuff just comes out of my hands." It was pretty funny to like think about how they actually do this CG, but she's like doing all these like facial expressions and stuff, and nothing's happening.
She was a beast.
Yeah. Then I do like the part where Spider-Man was like, because he still had the Iron Spider, so he was like, kill.
Instant kill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything was just
everyone
stabbing.
was
It was just
thinking
stabbing
after, like,
everybody.
Why you didn't use instant kill on Thanos the first time?
That shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them held back stuff though. I'm pretty sure Tony has an instant kill mode on his suit that he didn't use.
Probably wouldn't have worked.
Nah, probably not.
Wouldn't have worked.
Probably has to blow himself up.
Then he kind of got when Captain Marvel got the when she had the gauntlet, she kind of because they was pretty much playing keep away from Thanos, and that's when you kind of got Spider-Man was like, how you plan on getting through all that, and then you kind of got the all the females. Some people hate that moment. I don't really mind it.
I think it was a little forced.
It was, but it was a brief moment. Like,
Yeah, I didn't
it was
mind
like
it.
10 seconds. Like, and it wasn't like they gave him a whole like 30 minutes of this. You know, it was like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
They
was
did it
really
in
great.
Infinity War too, but it was just better executed in Infinity War, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, Infinity War was really just 3 of them when they were fighting.
Yeah.
Well, really 2. It was really Black Widow and Okoye, really. Well, and then Scarlet Witch came at the very end of that fight and ended her life. But it was like very, very. This was way shorter than that.
Yeah.
Then you kind of get the brief fight between her and Thanos. I saw people didn't like that at all. Her fighting Thanos. She does get blasted.
When
away.
she
She
just
does get blasted away with
threw
Power
off
Stone,
the cliff that was hilarious.
She does get like blasted away by the Power Stone though.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. Like, her powers come from an Infinity Stone, so it would make sense why she's standing.
You know, and I think a lot of people missed over the point that she didn't let Thanos close his hand. The stones were in the gauntlet. He can only use the stones in the gauntlet if he closes his hands, which was what we've seen for like an hour of the first movie in Infinity War. Don't let him close his hand, and that's what she was basically doing the entire time. And he got sick of it, took the Power Stone out, and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just left hook you."
No, that's my whole thing. There aren't too many characters that are physically stronger than Thanos. Like that was my whole thing. Like, even with because the whole reason they were keeping him from closing his fist before was because of Mantis.
Yeah.
Well, she was pretty much able to pretty much stun him, but they pretty much made her Captain Marvel physically stronger than Thanos. And I just don't like that shit. At no point in the books where she was physically stronger than Thanos. But,
No, they changed her.
She was
origins of her
basically
powers,
Superman.
Too, though. Yeah, they changed the origins of her powers too. Like in the books, obviously, her powers aren't from an Infinity Stone like it is in the movies.
Yeah, this version of Captain Marvel is basically like Superman Marvel.
She's a less interesting Superman. And
Yeah.
People always say he's kind of.
No, you know what she is? She's a perfect Superman. Superman does have some flaws.
What, he's boring and corny?
No, I won't get into it right now. But Captain Marvel is a perfect character, which is why nobody likes her, really.
Yeah, she's not a goody two-shoes.
She's kind of like a Deus Ex type thing. That's how a lot of people feel as though she is. She's kind of like a Deus Ex, and that Brie Larson doesn't do much for it. I mean, that and the writing. Instead of kind of going with a more interesting, they kind of went with the boring ass comic version that no one likes, and for good reason, she's fucking boring. And you combine that with Brie Larson's acting. We're not gonna rant on her. After that happens, that's when after she gets blasted away, that's when Doctor Strange points the one at him because Thanos is about to put the stone back in and snap his fingers. He points the one at Iron Man. He lunges at him, and he rips off a part of the gauntlet because it's pretty much his tech.
I don't think he ripped it off. I think it was the nanotech. I think he just converted I think he just converted the stones from one glove to his.
Yeah,
because of the nanotech. Yeah, I think that was pretty cool.
And then Thanos, like once he did it, he knocked him back, but Iron Man had already got the stones off of it. Thanos tried to snap his fingers. It was just nothing but metal. That's all you heard. And then you kind of saw the stones come into place Iron Man's wrist. Then he said he gets the famous I'm Iron Man" line. Bang. And everybody gets deleted pretty much. Well, all the bad guys get deleted. And that's when it goes to, because after that, because it generates so much energy, he's just a normal dude. He pretty much dies
That's
from
right.
it.
He's a normal dude. Thor wouldn't have died from that.
Yeah, see, Hulk didn't die from it either.
I'm just saying, Thor's a god.
But you kind of get this sad scene. I think Tom Holland did a better job acting that scene than Gwyneth Paltrow did.
Yep.
Personally,
I think it was a different emotion though that they were trying to
I
act.
don't know.
Nah, I just think Gwyneth Paltrow was just badass.
Because Gwyneth Paltrow was basically saying, "You've like accomplished it. You can move on. You're like."
Yeah, but here's the thing: your husband dies. You think you're just gonna be stone faced and not cry?
Well, she was sad.
Yeah, sad. Your husband just died.
But Tom Holland,
Freaking sad.
what Tom
But
Holland did
it was
right
also
there,
recognizing what he did when he
Yo,
died.
who cares about that? Your husband just died. You cry.
She cried after the fact.
After what? After?
and like Tom Holland's job on that, he was pretty much he did a pretty good job in that scene. I'll give him that, definitely.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
Tom Holland
did
did
a
great
great job,
Yeah,
and that's why I was kind of doing the Uncle Ben thing. But
I don't think they should do that.
but that's probably my favorite moment in the entire MCU.
It's pretty definitely the most emotional moment. Yeah.
And the funeral was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And
They had the kid from Iron Man 3 there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where they kind of set up some things in the future with of course Cap goes to puts all the stones back, puts Mjolnir back. But he doesn't come back. Which who thought he was gonna come back? I kind of feel like, oh, he's not gonna. I already had it in my head. I was like, oh, he's going back to do it. Yeah, he's not coming back. That's why he didn't even want to go with him. And he pretty much during the time he was on ice back in that 70 years or whatever, he goes back to Peggy during that time. So.
And he gets his last dance.
Yeah, he come and you see him. He's sitting on the bench. He was pretty much waiting on everyone. He was old, and that's when he passes pretty much the Captain America mantle to Falcon, which does happen in the books. Was it gonna be Winter Soldier?
What did you guys think of this?
What's that?
Him passing on his mantle. I like it, but I don't know.
I think they should. I don't dislike it, but I think he should have just kind of been like retired it and let Falcon be Falcon.
There's one reason I'm okay with it. Because it's not going to be a movie. It will be a TV show.
Yeah.
So it won't be like him taking over. And the thing is, the TV show, I don't think they're going to call it Captain America and Winter Soldier. I think it's still just going to be called Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And like if they were passing it on to him and they were going to make a new Captain America movie and it was going to be called Captain America,
Yeah.
then I'd be like, ooh.
Don't do that.
I'm
yeah.
okay with it because he's not going to be as big of a deal
Yeah.
as.
Exactly.
That was also
Yeah.
my whole thing. Like I kind
But
of.
I think it was well earned though, like in terms of that relationship and
Yeah, it wasn't.
kind of.
Then after that, you see Thor talking to Valkyrie, who of course was part of the final battle, like everyone else. Where he kind of says, "Well, you take over, rebuild Asgard," and he was like, he was just pretty much gonna leave. And you find out he joins the Guardians. You have a funny scene with him and Quill. Pretty much
Those
like,
two are gonna be
like,
awesome.
I'm the leader. He was like, "Sure, you are." So they kind of had that scene, which was pretty good. And
I did want to see a fat joke in there though, because they had the sandwich joke in Infinity War with Quill.
yeah,
Yeah.
They should have had some sort of like callback to that, but it's all right.
so that pretty much means hopefully that Thor is going to be in Guardians 3, which honestly didn't have as much interest in seeing Guardians 3, but now with Thor's in it, there's a lot of interest in seeing it.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it, because you got no end credits thing.
I will say that final scene though with Cap is probably the best final scene in the series.
Which only is old.
Where like just them dancing and it goes to black. I think that's the best.
Well,
Best way they could end it.
because you kind of saw he got his like. I guess he kind of got his ending.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
He got his ending.
Yeah. But there was no end credit scene, so they really didn't set up. And like I said, they're gonna take the break after Spider-Man. Me and MG was kind of like, well, they should have found a way to do something to mention X-Men or Fantastic Four. Like let's say like someone's looking at pictures and you see a picture of the Baxter Building and you see a picture of X Mansion. It could have been real quick. A lot of people wouldn't know that. There's people that wouldn't know what that was. We would have once we saw it.
Yeah.
So I think they should have kind of threw something like that in. But
For me, it would have been just have Fury looking at files and he comes across a Project X file or, in another file that has something to do with the Fantastic Four. It could have said four something, or four something, you know what I mean? It didn't have to be an exact name or anything, but just allude to it.
yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how like. What score would you guys give it?
I need to see it again to actually give it a score.
What?
Man.
Come on, you got to score. Come on. Give me some.
Okay. I think I'm sitting at like a 9 to a 9.5.
That's about right where I was sitting at.
It's not a perfect 10, but it's in the 90%.
I can't give any movie a perfect 10. It's just something like highest I usually give is like a 9.5 or something like that. I would say, because they kind of already got me and MG's score. I got it at like, because I can't remember what I gave Infinity War, honestly. I got it a little bit below Infinity War, honestly.
I have it above Infinity War.
I think it has of course, better character payoff, better ending than Infinity War. We'll definitely argue about that. But I don't know, I just like the tone of Infinity War a little bit more.
I just like the character development,
Oh, that was great.
payoff, the character. That's more my style of movie anyways. Like that's the kind of like what I like. So that's just personal preference. Like Infinity War is very good, but like I don't know, I think Endgame just outdoes it a little bit.
MG?
Yeah, I can't remember what I gave Infinity War either, but I had it like a notch below Infinity War. I liked Infinity War more personally. I think for me it's going to come down to, it's in my top 5 MCU movies though, for sure. But it's going to come down to replay value for me because like I said, number one, it's 3 hours, which is a lot to sit through when you're talking about replay, and it's hard to just see it one time and jump it over my other top 5 movies when I've seen those movies at least 15 times each. So I already have a different attachment to them right now. So it's hard to jump it over those. I'm putting it in my top 5 though, but I got to see it again before I kind of settle on my place in my top 5 where it's going to be.
So,
I don't think though. I will say this though. I don't foresee it jumping Infinity War or Winter Soldier for me. I don't see it jumping those two for me. The one real true debate, because I like this movie a lot more than a lot of other people do, but Civil War, I think I liked it more than other people liked it, even people who have it in their top 5. So for it to jump those 3 for me, it would really have to be like epic every time I see it, like those
I
other
think
movies are
with
to me.
these movies, what MG is saying is like, at this point, I need to sit a couple of years to actually see where it ranks.
Because it's kind of like you gotta, like I said,
It's the longevity more so than the greatness of the film at this point.
In the moment, it's easy to just throw it somewhere. But like I said, we've seen these other movies like 15 times each, right?
Yeah.
So we've picked them apart, and for them to still stand that test of time in that top 5, in our individual top 5s, there's something about those movies that stands out even after we've had time to pick them apart, flaws and positives,
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of them actually, I will give the MCU credit, is they get better with time. You realize how
Yeah.
good they were.
So it's gonna be hard for me to just throw Infinity War over those top three for me. Like those top three are Marvel movies that no matter how many times I've watched them, I've never gotten tired of them.
What I
And-
really want to do with Endgame is, I don't know about you guys, is sit through all the movies again and then watch it again and see how much that impacts it.
Yeah, it'll take me some time to do it, but I may eventually.
Yeah.
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 And maybe we can come back with the ranking because it's like with all the movies. Like,
Mhm.
now I really don't want to do it off the top of my head right now, but we can probably come back at some point and do rankings for
Yep.
pretty much all 22 films, like up to this point. Especially with this is being the end. Like you gotta rank all these movies. This is the end of that first chapter for the MCU.
And I will say, the one thing that's different between this and Infinity War, walking out of Infinity War, my heart was fucking racing, right? And that feeling I have not gotten out. The only other movie from the MCU that I've gotten that feeling where my heart was racing walking out of it was Civil War after the fight between Cap and Iron Man. So I didn't get that feeling with Endgame. Not saying that it doesn't, it lowers the rating of the movie, but it's just a different feeling coming out of Endgame than it was coming out of those other ones for me.
For me, it's the exact opposite. I was like emotionally just drained after Endgame. Like it just took a toll on me. Like I just watched an actual event take place. Infinity War was more like me sitting through the ending of being like, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to be the way. Like it was still like really impactful and like really cool, but it was more like, okay, this is cool, but I want to see where it goes.
Well, the thing for me with Endgame was with Infinity War, you kind of knew Thanos was going to get the snap, but you weren't necessarily 100% sure because it's kind of like, there's no way they're going to end the movie with a bad guy winning like that, right? Like it's kind of like, no way, like because it.
I kind of thought that though, so maybe I'm alone
to a
on that.
degree, but like in movie history, how many movies have we walked out of where the bad guy won? Like it just doesn't happen. So it's kind of like in the back of my head, it was kind of like, maybe they do the snap earlier in the movie and they fix it later in the movie, and then the next movie is just them fighting Thanos from trying to get the stones back, like like kind of just the unknown at the time, right? Because I think there was there was more unknown going into Infinity War than Endgame, because I kind of had an idea, and it kind of played out. The movie played out closer to what my idea of what was going to play out than what it did with Infinity War. So it was kind of like, okay, he really did snap. Okay, wow, okay, I didn't think they were going to go that far, right? Like, so. It's just a little bit of a different feeling. So I mean, that's going to play into it for my personal list too, because obviously, I mean, it's all it's all subjective anyway. So
Yeah, but I think we talked about. We've covered the whole movie. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I want to point out? No, not really. I think most of the actors, even ones I didn't like, were much better than any previous movie they were in. Nebula, Ant-Man, War Machine was okay. Never really cared for Don Cheadle or like War Machine in the MCU. I thought he was pretty good in this movie. Rocket was good. Can't really say, the characters they came back at the end. I thought the ones you liked, you're gonna like still. Ones you didn't like, they didn't give you any reason to like them now. So I think they kind of stayed the same. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do in the future. I mean, you're going to get the Black Panther, Captain Marvel 2, of course Spider-Man's coming out. Eternals, there's going to be Doctor Strange. You got all like the TV shows that are going to put on the Disney Plus app.
That'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that.
X-Men, Fantastic Four in the future. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do in the future, because a lot of people, like you said, Mitch, a lot of people were emotionally drained, and it's going to kind of lean. It's going to kind of lean towards people being burnt out on the whole.
Me
MCU
included,
thing.
man.
There's a lot of people I saw.
I'm at a
Twitter
point
who are
right now
burnt
where
out.
I'm saying, like, not only do I feel like I need a break, but I also feel like I don't think I'm ever going to get the same attachment to the next phase of MCU that I had over this past 11 years.
Yeah.
which is sad, but also like pretty hard to do.
Then that's another thing. That's kind of why like I don't think it's gonna be a lot of repeat viewers, but I think some people's like, well, I'm kind of burnt out after seeing all that. So I don't know if I want to watch it again. But also like it's gonna be a thing that affects the next phase. They aren't gonna make as much money as they made, this last few years or get the same type of hype that they've been getting with Infinity War, with movies like Civil War.
As the last time
Game.
we
They're not
talked,
gonna
I think
get
it was
that.
was it with Captain Marvel? We just talked about how like they're basically at their peak right now.
Yeah, and the End Game they were standing on top. They already climbed the mountain. They're at the top of the mountain. They can't go any further up. They can't go any further up. It's only really down from there. And down from the numbers End Game's gonna put up. I mean, I guess it isn't all bad, is it?
No, I mean Captain Marvel did went over $1 billion. I'm expecting Spider-Man to do over $1 billion.
Yeah. It's
So-
gonna do some money. But you go ahead and plug your stuff.
Well, that's the thing. I think people have to differentiate the success of Avengers movies versus the individual movie success, because individually the movies are still on track. It's just not the next team up movie won't be anywhere near what Avengers has done. But
yeah.
if you look at the individual movies, they're still right on pace in terms of box office.
'Cause you can't sit there and tell me that X-Men movie's not doing over $1 billion.
That, and then I mean, you look at what Spider-Man did the first go around. It did like 700 something plus million, which is right on pace for Marvel movies. You look at the growth of the Ant-Man franchise in terms of box office. You look at what Black Panther did. Doctor Strange did better than we expected it to. Like, I think for the individual movies, they'll be fine. It's just the big hit is really going to be in the grand scheme of things with the Avengers movies.
Yeah. But you can go ahead plug your stuff.
All right, for me, I am on YouTube at the Bottom Line View. Check me out, talk NFL, and on Twitter at Mitch Milani, Milani.
And you know me, I'm on Twitter at Virtuoso Sports, and during the week, I am on BlitzSportsNetwork.com.
You sure it isn't at Brie Larson Fan Club?
I am part of the Brie Larson fan club.
Well,
Yes.
y'all guys hit that thumbs up button on the video. Subscribe, hit the bell so you can see my videos, because a lot of people said they haven't been seeing my videos. And we're out.